Hello, welcome to the EngageTech YouTube channel. You've joined our EngageTech webinar demo series, and today we're going to be hearing from Consultation Manager. I've got with me John Tuck. Hi John, welcome.
Hi Amelia, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us. John's going to show us a sneak peek of the new version of Consultation Manager. I'm really excited to see this because I've known about these guys since 2005. I can't believe it's been that long, John.
Yeah, we've been around for a while.
Sure have. And you guys are working with some really incredible clients across Australia, and we're really looking forward to bringing you over to New Zealand for the EngageTech Forum and introducing you to our participants there. Tell us a little bit about the company from your perspective, how it's grown, where you guys are at with this new version of the product.
Yeah, great. So we have come a really long way in the last couple of years. We have been developing an entirely new version of the software. We have a stakeholder engagement cloud-based database. So you can log in from anywhere to view information about stakeholders or, see past history, get valuable reports, analytics, qualitative reports. And we've come a really long way in the last couple of years developing a whole new version, which actually has a completely new framework from our current version. It's not quite out yet, so we are giving a bit of a sneak peek today, which is really exciting for us. So there are going to be a few things that might not go as smoothly as we'd like to at this stage, because it is a work in progress. But we've also had a lot of internal company culture changes, particularly in the last sort of 6 to 12 months. We've really moved away from focusing on trying to generate new sales and really started focusing on our current clients. So we're currently expanding our team quite drastically. We've moved from three members in our customer success team across support, sales, and account management, and we're now up to 6, and we're going to be moving to 7 and 8 by the end of this year. And most of those new starters will be coming in as account managers, because we believe that looking after our current customers is the most important thing for us moving forward. That's kind of where we're at now, where we're about 2 weeks away from releasing the first iteration of CM4, which is really exciting. It's been a really long time coming, and we are very much looking forward to moving our current clients over to CM4 and enriching the lives of those who are in the field operating, doing that community engagement. Our product really makes life easy on the back end of that.
Sorry, I muted myself because I've got a lawnmower out the front of the house. So
you muted me.
So I will mute myself in between these demos. So I apologise for the sound, everyone. Jonathan, that's great. Tell us a little bit about the product, the history of the product, just maybe generally first, and then we'll launch into the demo where we can actually see it working. But sure. Maybe I can introduce it in terms of the EngageTech Spectrum a little bit. So Consultation Manager, as it says on the screen here, builds better relationships. Their focus has been about relationship management, which is why it was one of the first products I came across in 2005. As a stakeholder and community engagement manager for government, I found myself engaging with multiple people, sometimes repeatedly, and having to really investigate their needs and manage impacts of a project on a particular community or families and neighbourhoods. And so that was really where I first discovered this product. Is that a typical use case for this product, John? And how would you describe the kind of tool that you are?
Yeah, it really is a typical use case. Our tool is used by a number of different kind of sectors of organisations across infrastructure, mining, local councils, government bodies. Essentially, the software is a cloud-based, and we started in 2003, and we're one of the first kind of adopters of a cloud-based database, meaning that you can just log in using a browser from anywhere and have access to all of your data from home, from the office, from out in the field. And our software is, it's all in the name really, Consultation Manager. We track and record all interactions with stakeholders in the community, and lately has started being used for corporate affairs, internal communications, key stakeholder management. The system is starting to become more flexible, and I'll be able to show you that in a minute when we go through the demo. But essentially, the system is a way of securing all of your information, all of your interactions with community, so that, you know, 2 years down the track, when you talk to a particular community member, you've got your 2 years of interactions with them, and you can see that at this particular time, they weren't happy for this reason. And you know that going into those conversations, so that there's no surprises, there's no awkward moments and things like that.
Yeah, so a really wonderful way to retain that knowledge and information you're gaining through every single point of contact you have with that stakeholder, including, from what I understand, at the organisation level. So even if people leave the organisation or your organisation, there's a consistent relationship between the two organisations as well, which can be particularly useful when you're doing sort of more industry-based engagement as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And one of the other key things that our software is used for is environmental investigations and those EOIs. So generally, the system can track issues that the community is having, the ways that they're communicating with you, and with the new system and the flexibility of it, you'll be able to track a number of different other fields. So if your particular stakeholder or community member is happy or not, you know, what sort of project phase you're in, if it's part of a particular project, essentially whatever you need the system to be able to track and record. With CM4, you'll be able to influence that and basically change the framework of the system to suit your exact needs.
So really important if you've got a long project and you're engaging with the same people over multiple years. So that's great. So if you're looking at the EngageTech Spectrum, this is really focused on the bottom layers of the spectrum. So we've got information and issues management and relationship management on those bottom layers. And what I often try to do when I talk about the spectrum is encourage people to think about those bottom layers, even when they're using digital methods to engage in multiple ways online. So Jonathan, perhaps you can keep that in mind as you're sharing some of the features of the product for your demo now.
Of course, yeah, great.
Thanks.
Fantastic, thanks very much, Amelia. So what we're looking at here is the login page of CM4. So with the updated version, we will have single sign-on as well. So, you know, when you're in the office, log into your network and be automatically logged into the system. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in straight away. Great. So what we open to here is actually our search tab. So this is where you can search through all of your information that's stored in the system. And using this little drop down here, we can see the different types of records that we're storing in the system. So we've got stakeholders, properties, events, actions, documents, businesses, incidents, assets. These are additional ones that I have just thrown in to kind of you know, give you an idea of the flexibility of the system. You can add in these different record types whenever it's needed. So generally with using the system, you'd have some sort of engagement with the community. You would search for your stakeholder within the system. If they're not there, you would go ahead to add them into the system. And then you would create an event or a record which indicates that you've had some sort of interaction with this stakeholder, link that to their profile. And I'm just going to open the first profile that we can see here. And you'll see that our profile here is opened up into our workspace on the left. So all of our tools are down the left-hand side pane here. And we can see that we've opened, picked one with a difficult name, that's fun. I'm not even going to try. We've opened our stakeholder there into our workspace on the left, and we can see the details of our stakeholder on the left-hand side of their window here, and all of their assigned relationships on the right-hand side. So in the event that I had an interaction with this particular stakeholder, I would open their profile, and then I would click on the Add Interaction button, choose the project that this was relevant to. So our system can be used for singular projects, or anywhere up to, I think the biggest system at the moment has about 350 projects. And they can be kind of segregated between teams using access roles of users. You can say this particular user needs to see these projects and add information to these projects. And this particular user doesn't need to see those projects at all, but has their own projects that they need to see information on. So I would go ahead and select a particular project, and then your event type or whatever you deem important to report on. This has been the kind of historic way that we've done it in the past. So by default, this will be in the system. However, you can change the name of your event to a record or interaction, whatever works for your organization. So I'm just going to say this was a phone call, assign a particular sentiment. Let's say they were unhappy, and this was in section 3 of our project. I would enter the date of our event. So let's just say this was today, and this will default to right now and the time of right now. Click on apply, enter in our summary. And then enter in your comments. And then go ahead to select some of the issues. Now, we call this issues, but it's not necessarily a negative, there doesn't need to be a negative connotation there. It's more just about the topic of conversation with your stakeholder. So in this instance, I'm just going to select employment for now. And then if there was a particular address of this event, I would add that in as well. And once we're ready, I just have to move us out of the way. Once we're ready, I can click save. And then that's going to go ahead and create our new record in the system. So if I go back to Ray Sharp, sorry, we can see now that this new interaction that I've just had has shown up on their profile under their events. So in the event that you have someone, make a complaint or call you, using our system, you'd be able to see all of the interactions for the past however long, and notice that, yeah, they've called in once a week for the last 6 months, and they've been talking to this particular person. So maybe they're better off, speaking to the person that they've been talking to all of these times. The other new kind of benefits to the new system is that because of the flexibility, you can go ahead and basically, you could almost wipe the system clean and then set it up exactly how you'd like it to be. So as an example, and I believe this could potentially be widely used, I'm going to change over to our projects in our search view here. And we can see that in our search grid, we can see the names of our particular projects. And then moving along the grid here, we can see a business area, whether it's been approved or not. Are we doing proactive or reactive engagement? Who the leader of that project is, and then perhaps any particular actions that need to be, followed up with immediately. Or so with the new system, CM4, the flexibility means that you can really use it for whatever you need it to be. In this case that I'm showing here, this example, the system can be used as sort of a project management tool. So from this, and this came from a particular client saying, this is what we want. And in that meeting, I managed to set this up in about 5 minutes, which was great. So from this screen here, everyone in the organization has access to this system. So those project leaders can jump on here and update that information at any time, and then everyone can see where things are at. With stakeholders and with events, this all happens in real time. When you save it, it goes up immediately. Anyone else looking at that profile will be able to see that information straight away. The other huge benefits of the system are that I can produce reports on just about any information to come out. So in the event that I need an Excel spreadsheet, I can produce that information from our reports here by creating a tabular report. Click on New. From here, I can find the information that I need, move that into Microsoft Excel, and then share that if need be, or if there is, if you are currently using a business analytics tool, there's potential to move that information into a business analytics tool to give you some more analytics there. Alternatively, if those, if you need that report to be more qualitative, so showing all of the details of particular events, using a snapshot report by clicking on New. If I find my particular stakeholder that I would like this to be, so let's go with Ray's Sharp. So from here, by generating this report, I can say I want to see all of this particular information. Let's just stick with our events for now. And then from those events, I can say which parts of those events I actually need the information to come out into that report. So CM4 really allows for, managing your report before producing it, really cutting down on that manual handling time after removing that information from the system. This report basically takes this information and puts it into a RTF document. So this can be open in Microsoft Word. If you're using a Mac, it can open in Pages. It's just a rich text file document. I'm just waiting for that one to download. Where are we? Sorry that. So as I mentioned, this is a bit of a sneak peek. So some things aren't going to go as smoothly as I'd like them to right now.
Okay, maybe I can ask you a couple of questions at this point while we're waiting for that to generate.
Fantastic.
Would that work? Yeah. So I guess, I've noticed that. Well, I've noticed over time that you're now able to take a tablet out to site as long as you've got web access, right? And I believe you can actually have cached data. So if I'm on site speaking to somebody, I can actually be typing into my tablet, into Consultation Manager, and that data is now going to go back into your system, isn't it, as part of that record of that communication. And does that matter if I'm online or offline anymore?
So we do still require you to be online to access that information. Essentially, we've kind of recognized that it would be a security risk to have it available if you're not connected. So we do have an iOS app and an Android app. So by using those applications on site, as long as you've got internet access, you could be entering the information of your interaction in real time.
Yeah. Oh, well, fortunately, most of us have got internet access across Australia these days.
Yeah.
So, and I saw the report come down, but I might just use this opportunity to ask a couple of questions. You mentioned, at the start, you logged in, and you mentioned that anybody can access this system and enter data into it. Can you clarify at this point that access in terms of if somebody logs in, can you give them different types of access so that you're not giving them access to all of the data, or they're not able to not everybody can generate reports of personal data, just so we can talk through some of that side of things?
Of course, yeah. I'll try to keep it particularly simple because the user access roles can get a little complicated if I try to dive into the technicalities of those. Essentially, the access to the system is restricted via those projects. So, you know, if I show you over here, we can see, and this is all dummy data, so please ignore the names that we've got there. This is where you would dictate, you know, these particular users need access to these particular projects, or these particular users need access to these particular projects. Each individual user as well can have different access levels on those projects. Right. So the access levels range between read-only access, so you can log in and see the information, but you can't make any changes there, to being able to contribute, so you can add information into the system, or you can edit, so you can add information, you can edit any information that's already in the system, and then moves up to be a team leader, so someone that can you know, dictate the access to their projects and say, this user has now left our organization, they need to be removed from this project. That's what the team leader access role can do.
Excellent. Yeah, great. Thank you. And I guess I just want to clarify for everybody, what we're in right now is the back end of Consultation Manager. And I know John's going to show us a little bit about how you get data into the system if you're using more online processes as well, aren't you, John?
Yes, I won't be able to show you, but I can talk to that.
Okay, great. I think I saw the report pop down. I might mute myself and give you, let you talk.
It did, so I'm just going to open that one up now. So this is our snapshot report. And again, bear with me while this is a work in progress. So some things may not appear as exactly they will in the future. And also bear in mind that this is dummy data. So on our first page of this snapshot report, as it's a qualitative report, it's basically just removed all of the details of our particular stakeholder. And then on consequent pages, or subsequent pages, sorry, it's going to show us the particular projects that they're related to, the particular events that they're related to. So in the case that you've got a year's worth of interactions with a stakeholder, by running this report, I can have all of that removed from the system and put into Microsoft Word for easy formatting, for easy reading, for, you know, handing to a manager or someone that's not got access to the system but needs to know this information. So that's our snapshot report. The next report that I'm going to show you is our event statistics report. Now this is probably the most used report from the system. And this is the quantitative analytics report. So by choosing which project I would like to be running the report on, in this instance, I'm just going to leave it as all projects because we don't have that much data in this dummy platform. I can then dictate how, you know, do I want to see the top 10 issues and event types, or the top 15, top 20? And then I can show the relationship totals as well. So if I don't want to see it in regards to stakeholders, but maybe I want to see this report in regards to properties, I can change that information before producing the report. And I'm just going to leave it as all of our events. However, this search operates in the exact same way as our search function does. So I can really use that search to narrow down, get really granular with the specific events that I want to run this report on. So I'm just going to leave that for now, and I'm just going to click generate and download. And with a bit of luck, this one will go a little quicker than the last one. There we go. That's nice. And I'm going to open that one up. This one comes out into Microsoft Word as well. And again, this one needs a little work. You can see we've got a few points that are not quite accurate at the moment. But this is how the report will produce. So we've got our particular event types on the first page. So this is giving you an overview of the way in which stakeholders are engaging with you, or, you know, the way in which you're communicating with the community. So, and on the right-hand side here, we've got the graphical representation of this data on the left. And this is just a chart in Microsoft Word. So, you know, if the pie doesn't work properly for you, or, you know, a bar graph is going to be better, you're going to be better off with a bar graph, you can change all of those details once that's produced into Microsoft Word. I can also change those colors. So, you know, if a particular color scheme is going to work better, or if you wanted to use your organization or your council's color scheme, you can switch over to change to those colors instead. Moving further down, this report will produce whichever fields that you've set up on your events. So in this case, we've created a sentiment field. We've also created a section field. So this is telling us which section of the project these interactions are coming from. This particular page is telling us, you know, the numbers of those interactions that have been a complaint, or the number of those interactions that have been someone that's really happy with what we're doing. And then further down, we can see the issues or the topics of discussion between your organization and the stakeholders. And the last page here is the stakeholder groups. So within the system, there are a number of different ways of categorizing your stakeholders or your events. The stakeholder groups is the kind of historical way that we've done it up until now. However, I mean, you can change this information with the click of your fingers pretty much. So if stakeholder groups doesn't work and you need it to be community groups, you can add that information into the system or change it as you go. As your needs change, add in new fields, remove old fields. The system is completely flexible in that way. So this is our event statistics report. We are also working on having this report be automated. So in the case that you know, you need to find out all of the complaints from last month and what they've been, what community members have been complaining about, I can automate this report so that it's going to email it to myself and to my manager on the 1st of every month. Really taking away the need for you to jump into the system and actually manually go through and run your reports. We're going to make that so that you don't even have to log into the system and your report will be able to appear in your inbox. Great. So the next thing I'll show you really quickly, and this is the biggest feature change from CM3 to CM4. And this is the management of the system. So as I said before, in terms of those fields and being able to update and change what you see and the details and what you need to track and report on, through the management section of the system here, for instance, with stakeholders, we can see all of the detail fields on our stakeholders here. Now, in the case that I need to have a new field, I can just click on new field and, you know, let's just say, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. The new field here is their second phone number. And I can make this a text field, or I can change this field to be a number of different things. You know, a classification being a drop-down field, select one or select many, a number field, a phone number field. In this case, I'm just going to make it a phone number field. And then I can say whether this field is required when entering this information into the system. So we've been working on ways to improve the data quality going into the system. And this is one of the big ones that clients have been asking us about for some time. The ability to make those fields mandatory when entering information. So you can't create a new stakeholder without entering in their last name or without entering in their email. All of that power to change those things is now given over to our customers to say, if you really need this, you can make it so that your users can't enter that information without actually entering this particular detail. And I can also make that searchable or not searchable. And when I click on save, we can see our new field here now. I'm just going to close that one. And it has appeared here at the bottom of our stakeholder fields. Now, I can reorder those fields to put it a little further up, or maybe I just want to put it under mobile, and I'll click save there. Now, because I've made a change that's going to be across the entire system, this doesn't update automatically. So after making this change, there will need to be a refresh. So now if I go back to our stakeholder here, we can see under, I popped it under mobile. If I refresh the screen now and find our stakeholder again, you'll see that we've got a second phone number here now. So this is by far and away the most exciting new feature of CM4, the ability to really customize the system to suit your needs. And I'm completely anticipating in 6 months or a year's time, having a phone call from a customer and them talking about their system and me not having any idea what they're talking about, because they can change it to whatever they need it to be.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean by management and basically setting it up in a way that suits your criteria, I guess, and your processes. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah, so I can see how it would be used for project management, possibly for some process management even. You know, and I really like the automated reporting as well, especially if you are thinking in terms of what's your procedures for managing relationships and information from stakeholders. I think that that's really useful to be thinking strategically about the steps in the process and how information's being reported to different decision makers at different times. And I can even see the benefit of if you are reporting particularly things like how different methods for engagement are working at a certain time in a process, how you might tweak and refine your engagement process to then try to reach potentially a broader segment of the population, just as an example, or target a specific audience as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It can also really point out where the engagement is occurring. So, you know, if you had a two-person team manning the phones and it turns out that you're getting 1,000 phone calls a month, obviously you need to have some more team members helping out in that space. So it can really assist with pointing out areas of, you know, high engagement or high, I can't think of the word at the moment, but, you know,
well, resource intensive work, the resource intensive side of the work,
yeah,
and probably also demonstrating the value of that work as well. You know, I'm sure you can show how people's how input is changing over time, and how issues are being addressed, and how that proactive communication and management of those relationships is in a consistent way across the organisation is resulting in better outcomes, I suspect.
Absolutely, yeah. So a few other things that I'll just touch on really quickly is we are working on integrations. So at this stage, we are working on integrations with, we've actually built integrations with MailChimp, we've built integrations with Campaign Monitor, and we built an integration with Vision 6. So those e-news clients do their jobs particularly well. So instead of us trying to match what they do, we are building those integrations so that you can kind of seamlessly move your information from Consultation Manager into your e-news campaign client, send out your campaign, and have that information populate back into CM without you having to do anything. So the other kinds of integrations that we're looking at GIS integrations. We are looking at document management system integrations as well. And along those lines, we do have an open API, and the API of CM4 is a very modern, very easy to use tool. So building your own integration to move information into the system or move information out of the system, either to another system or even, you know, just into your inbox or onto your desktop computer. All of that is very possible. And, you know, that API work has been rather extensive from us to try to make sure that our customers will be able to use the system in whichever way they need to be able to use that system, the system, and access that information and enter information in the easiest way possible for our customers.
So important when we're doing engagement. I mean, we're getting information, we're communicating out through so many different ways, and it's great to see you've got the MailChimp and Campaign Monitor and Vision 6 integration. But also we're, using so many channels now to collect information, through the face-to-face events, through emails, through submissions, and through online engagement tools, sometimes even a variety of those on a single project. Are there any particular online engagement tools that you work with, and how are you working with submission management processes, just as an example?
Yeah, absolutely. So our company is actually called My Site Design, and we own Consultation Manager. We also own Social Pinpoint. So Consultation Manager is more your back-end system where you can document all of your engagement, be able to run reports on that engagement, and access that data from anywhere. And Social Pinpoint is the front end of that. So Social Pinpoint offer interactive mapping, they offer surveys, they offer web pages, and all of this information is, we will be building that integration. It hasn't yet been built as we're still working on the system. But we will be building that integration so that everything that you can do on Social Pinpoint, or whatever you can use Social Pinpoint for, your surveys, submission processes, if you are upgrading a park and you pop the map on Social Pinpoint, your community can jump online and say, I'm really not happy that the gate is going here, and things like that. You can get that feedback from the community directly into the map, and then that will feed directly into Consultation Manager. So Consultation Manager is kind of like your central source of truth. And using Social Pinpoint and the tools that Social Pinpoint make, that information can be fed in through there into your source of truth. So when you're looking at Consultation Manager, you're getting the whole picture. So that is the way that we will be directly integrating with web pages, and that's through Social Pinpoint. We'll also be looking at offering packages of both. So, you get Consultation Manager, and for an extra fee, we haven't determined that yet, for an extra fee, you would have access to Social Pinpoint and be able to create yourself a map and a web page, and, create a survey that you put out to the community, and have all that feedback then fed into Consultation Manager, where you can see everything.
Excellent. Great to see the product evolving, John. And I'm really impressed with the open API. I'm sure there'll be some people who are looking at integration of these solutions for their organisation, and how that might work for their organisation as well, and some of the other products that they're using, possibly for emails, or even for more formal submission management, which is actually quite common in New Zealand, which is where we're going to be having the EngageTech Forum in a month's time. So
exciting.
I'm really looking forward to it. We've got 120 people in the room. I think it's going to be 18 different organisations, government organisations, and lots of different types of use cases. So I think there'll be lots of people who ask some great questions about this product, and share with you some potentially even new use cases for you guys, because you've got some great stuff in there for infrastructure projects and project management. I know you've been doing heaps of work with transport. We've got Auckland Transport involved in the event, but the local governments over there run correspondence and manage relationships with stakeholders in quite a unique way, including giving people the opportunity to participate in hearings. So I think you might see an interesting use case there. I just want to check, you showed us some quantitative reports. How are you guys going with qualitative reports? What do you recommend people do when they want to, if they want to use this as their single point of truth, and they're feeding stuff in from Social Pinpoint and from other products where they're collecting information from stakeholders? What's the best way for them to report about, issues, and theme those issues, and potentially report at the end of a consultation process, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to the reporting, we do offer both the qualitative and the quantitative reports. The consultation reports here The consultation reports and the snapshot report are our ways of taking that information, exporting it out of the system into a readable format in Microsoft Word. So I'll give you an example of our stakeholder consultation report here. So what I want to see in the report is the events related to these particular stakeholders, so their interactions with us. And I want to see all of the details of those particular events. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to narrow this down just a little bit so that we don't produce a massive report. So let's just go with government here. Okay, so we can see here that we've returned 20 results. So I'm going to generate and download that report, and we will take a look at what that looks like for you. And of course, as this is produced into Microsoft Word, if the formatting is not particularly to your liking, it is all, you know, modifiable. You can make changes to that. It's not a rigid document. Okay, so, and again, bear with us as this is still has a little bit of work to do. But as you can see, it's going to populate this report with our stakeholders in alphabetical order from their first name. As we go down, we can show their memberships, their ownerships. So these are the properties that Mr. Andrew Wentworth owned. And then further down, we can see the interactions between Andrew and our organization. So we've got an email here, and as we go down through here, we've got the 1-800 number. Now this will go through all of the events that are related to Andrew. And then as we get further down, it will move on to the next stakeholder and will show us their information and their events. And then as we get further down, the next stakeholder. So this is the way that you would take all of that information, put it into Microsoft Word for, you know, a briefing before a meeting, or in a case that, you know, management or a minister has asked for specific information on a stakeholder or a group of stakeholders. Just with a couple of clicks, I can produce this report and quickly and easily hand that over. Print it, email it, shoot it forward, you know. Taking this information out, like as you just saw, took me maybe 30 seconds to produce this report. And again, if this needed to be a regular thing, we could automate this and have it automatically get sent to the minister or management.
Yeah. Great, thank you. So you've answered most of my questions. I've probably got two more which are quite technical, because often when you're buying and using these types of tools in a government organisation, you might have decided that you really want it, but you've got to talk to your web team, and you've also got to talk to your ICT team and your chief information officer. So what we're trying to do with these videos is give people just enough information to be able to get over that, you know, get through that first conversation around some of those technical, So I've got a web page for my project. I might be using any kind of different sort of web platform, WordPress, Drupal, Silverstripe, or the GovCMS. And if I'm using that or my council's website, if I'm using that website product to develop my web page, how would I work with your tool to integrate that into the way we're doing business? I know you're mostly a back end, so this might be more of a question for Social Pinpoint, but it'd be good to hear your response too, Jonathan.
It might be a bit more of a question for Social Pinpoint, but along the same lines as earlier, with our API, that interface is being designed to be as easy to use as possible. So with your web page, if you are collecting information through that web page, that information it's more than possible that there can be an integration that is built to take that information, potentially reformat it, and then put that information directly into Consultation Manager. Alternatively, if you're collecting that information into, for example, an Excel spreadsheet, We do have import tools as well, so that you can bulk import data in the one go. So in the case, you know, that you're off-site and you don't have any internet access, by collecting information directly into an Excel spreadsheet, when you get back into the office, you can then upload that information directly into the system without having to go through and do singular data entry for each of those interactions.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know, there's no limit to the amount that you can bulk import. And with a couple of clicks of a button, essentially you can, whatever format your Excel spreadsheet is in, you can import that into the system, tell the system where to look for its information, and then when you actually go ahead with the import, it will feed all of the information into the correct fields and save you potentially hours on individual data entry.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, great. Good to know you've got those functions. And while we're talking about import exports, you showed us quite a lot of reports in Word. Are you also able to generate reports in Excel if you did want to do a bit more mining of qualitative data, as an example?
Absolutely, yeah. And that is our tabular report here.
Okay.
So in the same way that you produce the other reports, you can run a search for the particular information that you'd like to see exported. And then by generating and downloading, that's going to move that information all into an Excel spreadsheet. We will be updating our search here to have an export button directly from here. So if you've done your particular search, you know, let's say you've done a multi-layered search to say, I want to see the stakeholders from government. We can see our first search term appear here. And then let's say, you know, from those, we only want the ones in a particular postcode. And I don't know what postcodes that we actually have in here, but let's just say starting
people in New Farm, so probably that one's a good one.
4-0, there we go. So these are going to be the you know, the stakeholders who are in this government stakeholder group that are also in Brisbane somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, great.
And then there will be a button here that you can just click this one button and export that information directly into Excel. Right. Alternatively, we also have introduced a new feature whereby I can highlight sections of our search grid, and then by right clicking, I can say copy, or I can say copy with these headers, and then I can paste that directly into Excel as well.
Okay, great.
So in the case that you you know, didn't want to see all of the information, or you didn't need to see the organization, you can just highlight and exclude this particular column, copy with headers and paste that into Excel, or even paste it into an email or into a Microsoft Word document. It just works as a grid wherever you paste it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, John. Okay, so just covering off on probably the last couple of questions that the CTOs and CIOs will want to know. Talk to me about, you know, government requirements around security and accessibility and data storage. Obviously, that's kind of a minimum requirement for working with government. You've got plenty of government clients. How are you guys dealing with meeting those needs?
Absolutely. So CM3, our current version of Consultation Manager, meets all of the government requirements, and we're actually already being used in New Zealand by a couple of agencies, and we're also used by the New Zealand Defence Force. We're also used by the Australian Defence Force, so we certainly meet all of those requirements, and that is for CM3. With CM4, we've taken that an extra step and improved the encryption to be encrypted at rest. So not only is your information encrypted in transit, but it's also encrypted at all times. We use Microsoft Azure server, which is in Sydney. So all of the data is hosted in Australia. And then we have backup servers that are in Melbourne. So in the event that Sydney happened to fall into a sinkhole, all of your information would still be secure based on those, the geographical differences of where we're storing that information.
Excellent. Great. That's great. Thank you. You've done a great job of the demo today. I think you
Thank you
can,
very much.
yeah, I think you can tell everyone it went really well. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark.
Thank you
um,
very
you got to be a bit geeky to do this kind of work, I reckon.
much.
Thanks, John. You really, it's been great to meet you and see the product. I'm really excited about you meeting with all of the people who are involved in the EngageTech Forum in Auckland next month. I think I'm really fascinated to have a discussion, possibly even record a discussion maybe after the event to talk about some of those different use cases and even some of the new ones to you. Yeah, because I think I'm particularly interested in how the different elected officers, the wards, the wards that are coming along. So there's 21 wards in Auckland Regional Council Group. I'm really interested to see how they see this product as something that might help them manage their relationships with their stakeholders, because they do quite a lot of liaison as a government office or a political office with the community, and they have to keep their representative well informed about some of the types of people in the community who have concerns and interests. So I think that's going to be a really interesting use case. And I'm also interested in how the community and social development teams in council might use this kind of product, because I know that they're investing a lot of time into building relationships and working with the community. So I think that'll be a lovely complement to some of the bigger sort of infrastructure development and planning projects that I know you've worked on. And I think it'll be really good to sort of see how the product can be configured to meet some of those different needs as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And this, the basic levels of community engagement is really our bread and butter. That's what our software, our solution does particularly well. So thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to have this webinar with you. And really looking forward to heading over to Auckland and meeting everyone in May. Really exciting times. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, John. So John is the Key Account Manager at Consultation Manager. And if you want to get in touch with John, what's the best way to do that? Or with the rest of your team, John?
Yeah, so you can email through to customersuccess@consultationmanager.com. That feeds into our kind of ticket desk where everyone has access to it. So the best person to respond to you will be the person that actually responds to you. Alternatively, you can call us. Our phone number is really easy to remember, which is nice for me. 1300 850 058. And of course, we're based in Brisbane, Australia. So our times are a little different. And we're here from 8:30 till 5, Monday to Friday, Australian Eastern Standard Time.
Great. Thanks, John. You've been watching the EngageTech webinar series. My name's Amelia Loye. I'm from Engage2. If you'd like to learn anything about what we do, go to engage2.com.au. Thanks for watching.